Right now, somewhere in the world, a person is maintaining a savings account earning 2% interest while simultaneously paying 24% interest on credit card debt. Every single day, that savings account is costing them money. The mathematically obvious solution, use the savings to eliminate the debt, would save them thousands of dollars. They will not do it. They cannot do it. And the reason they cannot do it has nothing to do with intelligence. It has everything to do with the fact that your brain does not treat money the way a calculator does. Your brain treats money the way an accountant with severe emotional problems does, sorting every dollar into invisible mental folders, each with its own rules, its own feelings, and its own completely irrational logic. The economist who proved this won the Nobel Prize for it. His name is Richard Thaler, and in 2017, the Royal Swedish Academy rewarded him for a career spent documenting a simple, devastating truth. $100 is not always $100. It depends on which invisible pocket your brain decided to put it in. Thaler demonstrated this with an elegantly simple thought experiment. You are walking to a concert. The ticket cost $50. At the venue, you reach into your pocket and discover the ticket is gone. Another one is available at the box office for $50. Do you buy it? Most people say no. Now rewind. Same concert. This time, you planned to buy a ticket at the door. On the way, you lose a $50 bill. Tickets are still $50. Do you buy one? Most people say yes. The math is identical. You have lost $50 and face spending another $50. But losing the ticket felt like paying $100 for one concert, because the brain had already opened a mental account labeled concert and charged $50 to it. Losing the cash went into a different account entirely. General bad luck, leaving the concert account untouched at $50. Same money, same loss, completely different decision. And that gap between the math and the feeling is the territory Thaler spent his career mapping. Classical economics rests on a foundational principle called fungibility, the idea that money is perfectly interchangeable. $1 is $1, whether you earned it at your job, found it on the sidewalk, received it as a birthday gift, or won it in a poker game. But human beings violate fungibility constantly, and the violations are predictable. You find a $20 bill on a rain-soaked sidewalk. What do you do with it? If you were like most people, you treat it as free money. You spend it on something frivolous, maybe a dessert you would normally skip, or a magazine you do not need. Now imagine you earned an extra $20 by staying late at work. Same purchasing power, but you are far more likely to save it or put it toward a bill. The found 20 entered a mental account labeled windfall. The earned 20 entered an account labeled income. Different labels, different rules, different behavior. When Thaler won the Nobel Prize, a reporter asked what he planned to do with the prize money. His answer was a masterclass in self-awareness. I will try to spend it as irrationally as possible. He joked about setting up a special Nobel account and charging indulgent purchases to the Nobel card. The man who discovered the bias was cheerfully admitting he could not escape it. This quirk might sound harmless. You spend found money more freely than earned money. So what? So everything. Because this quirk is the invisible architecture behind some of the most financially destructive behaviors in modern life, including that person from the opening, paying 24% on debt while their savings earn 2%. The rational action is blindingly obvious, but the savings account sits in a mental folder labeled security. Touching it feels like dismantling a safety net. The credit card debt sits in a completely separate folder labeled monthly obligation. The brain treats them as two different realities, even though moving money from one to the other would make the person measurably wealthier overnight. This single mental accounting error costs consumers billions of dollars globally in unnecessary interest payments every year. And it is only the beginning. The same labeling system explains a puzzle that has baffled economists for decades: why people spend tax refunds so differently from regular income. When a large lump sum refund arrives, people tend to treat it as a bonus. They spend it on big, discretionary purchases: a new television, a vacation, an upgrade they have been eyeing. The same total amount arriving as a modest weekly pay increase throughout the year would be absorbed quietly into regular spending and savings. Governments have actually exploited this insight. By structuring tax systems to over-withhold income and return it as a single refund, they give citizens the psychological experience of a windfall, which stimulates consumer spending in ways that a small weekly bump never would. Same money, different mental account, different economic behavior. The gambling industry may be the most sophisticated exploiter of mental accounting on the planet. Casinos do not let you gamble with cash. They make you convert your money into chips first. The physical act of handing over bills activates a mental account associated with loss. You feel the money leaving your hand. But chips are abstract tokens, colorful, weightless, detached from the sweat that earned them. They enter a separate mental account labeled gambling money, where the rules are looser, the pain of losing is duller, and the willingness to take risks is dramatically higher. This is why gamblers who are ahead take much larger risks with their winnings than with their original stake. Thaler documented this pattern and named it the house money effect. Winnings feel like free money, money that was never really yours, so you gamble it recklessly in ways you would never gamble your salary. The digital economy has taken this principle and scaled it to billions of people. Every time you tap your phone to pay, store a credit card in an app, or complete a purchase with a single click, you are being moved further from the mental account of my hard-earned cash and into an abstract, painless account where spending barely registers as loss. A physical wallet getting thinner triggers a mental alarm. A notification reading, "Your card was charged $4.99, does not. The subscription economy is the ultimate exploitation of this architecture. When you sign up for a monthly streaming service or fitness app, the initial payment enters a mental account labeled small monthly expense, routine, unremarkable, sitting alongside your phone bill. But you are not evaluating it the way you would evaluate a lump sum. If someone asked you to hand over $120 right now for a streaming service you watch 3 times a month, you might hesitate. 12 payments of $9.99? That barely registers. Studies have estimated that the average consumer underestimates their total monthly subscription spending by 30 to 50%. The money leaks out of dozens of tiny mental accounts, each too small to trigger scrutiny, collectively representing a substantial drain on income. This is mental accounting weaponized by interface design. And then there is the sunk cost trap, one of the most painful consequences of how mental accounts handle losses. You buy a ticket to a football game for $200. On the day of the game, a blizzard hits. The roads are dangerous. You do not want to go. But you go anyway, because you already paid and cannot bear to waste the money. A rational mind would ignore the ticket price entirely. The money is gone whether you attend or not. The only relevant question is whether the experience of sitting in a blizzard will make you happier than staying home. The $200 should be irrelevant, but your brain opened a mental account for football game and charged $200 to it. If you attend, the account closes with an experience to show for the expense. If you stay home, the account closes as a pure, naked loss. Your brain will do almost anything to avoid closing an account at a loss. So you drive through the blizzard. You sit in the freezing cold. You have a miserable time. But the mental ledger is balanced, and that feels better than admitting the money was wasted. This same logic keeps people sitting through terrible movies they paid for, finishing restaurant meals they no longer want, and maintaining gym memberships they never use. The sunk cost screams from inside the mental account, demanding that the ledger be balanced, regardless of whether balancing it makes any sense. But mental accounting does not just create traps. Understanding it also creates remarkably effective solutions. Thaler himself used this insight to design Save More Tomorrow, one of the most successful retirement savings programs in history. Instead of asking employees to reduce their current paycheck to fund retirement, which feels like a painful deduction from the income account, the program asks employees to commit in advance to directing a portion of future pay raises toward their retirement fund. The future raise does not exist yet. It is not in any mental account. There is no sense of loss because you never had the money. When the raise arrives, the extra amount is automatically diverted before it ever touches the income account. So the brain never registers it as something taken away. Participation rates skyrocketed. Savings rates more than tripled. The program has been adopted by thousands of companies. Thaler did not make people more rational. He designed a system that worked with the irrational architecture instead of against it. This is the deeper lesson. Your brain is not a calculator. It is a storyteller. It processes money not as clean, interchangeable units, but as narrative. Where did this money come from? What is it for? How does spending it make me feel? A taxi driver in New York stops working on a lucrative rainy day because he has already hit his mental daily target, even though continuing to work would be far more profitable. His today's earnings account reached its reference point and closed. A family refuses to sell a stock at a loss because doing so would close the account at a deficit, even though holding the stock is losing them more money every week. The unrealized loss feels tolerable. The realized loss is devastating. Someone receives a gift card and spends it on a luxury they would never buy with cash. The gift card sits in a gift account where frivolous spending is permitted. It is everywhere. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. So the next time you make a financial decision, pause and ask yourself, am I making this choice based on the actual mathematics of my situation, or based on which invisible mental account this money lives in? Because your brain has already labeled the money. It has already assigned the account. It has already written the rules for how this particular dollar should be spent. And those rules were not written by a mathematician. They were written by a storyteller who does not understand that $100 is always, in every circumstance, exactly $100, no matter what the label says.